guys, we're back for Chapter 2 of Freckle Juice. Remember in Chapter 1, Andrew Marcus hated having his neck washed, and he wished he had freckles just like Nikki Lane. He thought, oh, if I had freckles like Nikki Lane, my mom wouldn't be able to know if my neck was dirty, and then I wouldn't have to wash it. She wouldn't check it. I wouldn't have to wash it before I go to school, and so he really wanted freckles. And Sharon told him that she had a secret recipe for freckle juice, and it would cost him 50 cents. So he had to go home that night after school and decide what to do. And now we're ready for Chapter 2. And it starts off, that night Andrew had trouble sleeping. And there's Andrew. He's having trouble falling asleep. And he's thinking about Sharon and Nikki Lane. And let's see, let's count the dimes. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 cents. He's thinking about paying her 50 cents. All right. So that night, Andrew had trouble sleeping. He kept thinking about freckle juice. Maybe the reason no one in his family had freckles was because no one knew the secret recipe. He had never even heard of freckle juice. Then, if they had never heard of freckle juice, then how could they have any freckles? I figured. So there's his family, where he's thinking, no one has freckles. Maybe it's because they've never heard of freckle juice. Andrew didn't like the idea of paying Sharon for anything, and 50 cents was a lot of money. It was 5 whole weeks' allowance. But he decided that if Sharon's recipe didn't work, he'd ask for his money back. It was easy. The next morning, Andrew turned the combination of his safe bank to just the right numbers. 4 on top and 0 on the bottom. He took out 5 dimes. He wrapped them in a tissue and stuffed the whole thing in his pocket. He didn't have time to wash his ears or neck or anything. He wanted to see Sharon before the last bell rang. Bye, Mom, Andrew called. Andrew Marcus, wait a minute. His mother hurried over to him. She almost tripped on her long bathrobe. The curlers in her hair scratched Andrew's face as she checked his ears and neck. Please, Mom, can't we skip it just this once? Andrew begged. Mrs. Marcus stepped away from Andrew. She pointed a finger at him. Okay, she said. I'll let you go this time, but tomorrow I'm looking again. Andrew, zip up your pants. Andrew looked down. Zippers were a pain. This afternoon, when you come home, I'll be next door. Mrs. Burroughs invited me over to play cards. You come get the key for me, okay? Sure, Mom, okay. Andrew raced to school. He could hardly wait to see the secret recipe. First, he'd look at it, and if it didn't seem any good, he just wouldn't pay. And this book has a picture of him racing to school. The other book does not. So there's Andrew racing to school. Oh, and here's a picture of Mrs. Marcus, though, before they left, trying to check his neck and behind his ears with her curlers in her hair. Sharon was already at her desk when Andrew arrived. He went right over to her. Did you bring it? He asked. Bring what? Sharon opened her eyes real wide. You know what? The secret recipe for freckle juice. Oh, that? I have it. Right here. Sharon patted her pocket. Well, let's see it. Do you have the 50 cents? Sharon asked. Sure, right here. Andrew patted his pocket. I'm not going to show it to you until you pay, Sharon said. Andrew shook his head. Oh, no. First, I want to see it. Sorry, Andrew. A deal's a deal. Sharon opened a book and pretended to read. Andrew Marcus, Miss Kelly said, will you please sit down? The second bell just rang. Nikki? Oh, this morning we will begin with arithmetic. Nikki, please pass out the yellow paper. When you get your paper, begin working on the problems on the board. Okay, and they have different pictures for the next part. So remember, they were getting ready to start arithmetic. Andrew went to his seat. Then he took the tissue with the 5 dimes out of his pocket. He held it near the floor and aimed it toward Sharon. Okay, so here he is at the top. There's a little bit of a glare. There we go. And if you look very carefully, there's a tissue on the floor with his dimes in it that he's trying to scoot over close to Sharon. In this next row, it says, Sharon sat in the next row. Sharon stuck out her foot and stepped on the tissue. Then she slid it over until she could reach it with her hand. So here she's sliding the tissue over closer to her with her foot. And down here, she bent down and picked it up. Miss Kelly didn't notice. So she picked up the tissue with the dimes in it. Okay. Here it says, Sharon counted the 5 dimes. Then she took a piece of folded up white paper out of her pocket and threw it to Andrew. And here you see her throwing it to Andrew. And this shows her throwing it to Andrew in this book. It landed in the middle of the aisle. Andrew leaned way over to pick it up. So you see right here, he's leaning way over to pick it up. But he lost his balance and fell off his chair down here. Everyone laughed except Andrew and Miss Kelly. Miss Kelly sighed. Oh, Andrew, what are you up to now? Bring me that note, please. Andrew picked up the secret recipe. He didn't even have a chance to see it. It wasn't fair. It cost him 50 cents for nothing. He handed it to Miss Kelly. She read it. Then she looked up at him. Andrew, you may have this back at 3 o'clock. She put it in her desk. I don't want this to happen again. Do you understand? Yes, Miss Kelly, Andrew mumbled. Good. Now let's get that arithmetic done. Miss Kelly wasn't bad, Andrew decided. She could have ripped up the recipe, or sent him to the principal's office, or even made him stand outside in the hall by himself. Andrew could hardly wait for 3 o'clock to come. He didn't bother counting Nicky Lane's freckles. Soon he'd have his own. When the second bell finally rang and the class marched down the hall, Andrew went up to Miss Kelly. She held the piece of white paper and waved it at him. Here's your note, Andrew. I have a feeling it's important to you, but from now on, you must pay attention in class. Andrew took the recipe from Miss Kelly. After tomorrow, I won't have any trouble paying attention, he promised. Just you wait, Miss Kelly. I won't have any trouble at all. So here's, in this book, is the picture of where he fell out of his chair, trying to pick up the note. And here he is getting the note back from Miss Kelly. All right, just like you did with chapter 1 yesterday, I would like you to find a grown-up to read to and read chapter 2. Bye, guys.